In San Pedro, California, 1989, a single mother moves into a small, ordinary bungalow with her 2 young children, hoping for a fresh start. But instead, she finds herself trapped in a nightmare so terrifying, so violent, that even seasoned paranormal investigators fled the property in fear. This isn't a ghost story. It's not an urban legend. This was real. A case so well documented, it remains one of the most disturbing poltergeist hauntings in modern history. This is the story of the Jackie Hernández poltergeist, the haunting that tried to kill. Jackie Hernández was 23 years old when her marriage fell apart. Pregnant with her 2nd child and struggling to raise her young son, she moved into a modest bungalow on West 11th Street in the coastal town of San Pedro. The house wasn't much, small, weathered, with peeling paint and creaking floors, but it was affordable, and Jackie hoped it would be the place where she could start over. At first, everything seemed normal, but within weeks, strange things began to happen. It started with sounds. Late at night, when the house was quiet and her children were asleep, Jackie heard scraping noises coming from the attic above her bedroom. Sometimes it sounded like heavy footsteps pacing back and forth. Other times it was a dragging sound, like something heavy being pulled across the rafters. She tried to ignore it, but then came the voices, muffled whispers, murmurs that seemed to seep through the walls. Sometimes she swore she heard her name, and then she began to see things. One night, Jackie was nursing her newborn daughter in the living room when she felt something behind her. She turned and froze. In the corner of the room stood the figure of an old man. His face was gaunt, sunken, his eyes hollow. His skin was grey and stretched tight over his bones. And he was watching her. Jackie gasped and clutched her baby tighter. But before she could scream, the figure simply dissolved into the shadows. Over the next few weeks, the apparitions continued. Sometimes she saw shadow figures darting down the hallway. Other times, she saw the face of the old man, pale, wrinkled, expressionless, staring at her from the darkness. Her son began waking at night, crying, saying that the man was standing in his room. Jackie was terrified. She had no one to turn to, but she wasn't imagining it, because soon things turned violent. One evening, Jackie was in the kitchen washing dishes when a bloody hand appeared before her, dripping, disembodied, and it slammed against the wall. She screamed, backing away, but when she looked again, the hand was gone. Only a faint smear of blood remained, like a stain burned into the wall. Then, objects began to move. Plates flew from the cupboards, smashing onto the floor. Books tumbled from shelves. Toys rolled across the room by themselves. One night, as she sat in bed, she felt something invisible press against her chest, pinning her down. She struggled, gasping for air, clawing at nothing. Her newborn daughter lay beside her, crying, as Jackie fought for her life. And then, as suddenly as it began, the pressure lifted. Jackie sat up, trembling, drenched in sweat. Whatever was in the house wasn't just trying to scare her. It wanted her gone, or dead. Desperate for help, Jackie reached out to local paranormal investigators. One of them was Dr. Barry Taff, a parapsychologist with years of experience in investigating hauntings. He assembled a small team and traveled to Jackie's home. At first, they thought it would be just another case of a frightened woman. perhaps stressed, imagining things. But what they found inside the San Pedro house would haunt them for the rest of their lives. From the moment they entered, they felt it. An oppressive heaviness in the air, a smell of rot, like stagnant water, and decay. As they set up their equipment, one investigator saw a dark shadow crawl across the ceiling. Another heard a growl coming from the attic. And then, they caught it on film. During one of their sessions, a photographer snapped a picture in the living room. When the film was developed, it showed a horrifying image. The face of an old man, twisted, contorted, floating in the air just inches from Jackie's head. The team was shaken. They had seen many cases, but this was something else. And then came the attic. The attic had always been the source of the noises. Jackie warned them it was dangerous, but the investigators insisted. One climbed up with a flashlight. As he swept the beam across the rafters, something moved, a shadow shifting just out of reach. Then suddenly a thick cord looped around his neck. The team below heard him choke and scream. They rushed to pull him down, ripping the cord away. He gasped, clutching his throat, his skin red and raw, where it had nearly strangled him. They looked around the attic. No one else was there. The entity had tried to kill. From that moment, the team knew this wasn't just a haunting. It was a full-blown poltergeist, a violent force feeding on Jackie's fear and despair. And it wasn't finished. Over the next year, the activity only grew worse. Jackie moved houses hoping to escape, but the entity followed her. Even in her new home, she saw the same apparition: the old man, the shadows, the disembodied hands. Objects still flew through the air. Her children woke screaming, clawing at unseen figures. The investigators returned several times. Each time they documented strange phenomena: floating orbs, phantom voices, sudden drops in temperature. But the most chilling moment came during a séance. As they sat around the table calling out to whatever haunted Jackie, one of the men felt something brush against his leg. Then it pulled. Hard. He screamed as he was dragged from his chair, clawing at the floor as though invisible hands were trying to pull him into the darkness. They rushed to help, pulling him back. His clothes were torn, his skin scratched, as though by claws. Everyone in that room was left shaken, and everyone agreed this was no ordinary haunting. Through their research, the investigators began to suspect the identity of the entity tormenting Jackie. Neighbors whispered about a man who had once lived in the house, a drifter, cruel and violent, who had supposedly drowned in the harbor nearby. Some believed his restless spirit lingered, attaching itself to Jackie, feeding on her pain and fear. Others thought it was something darker, not a man at all, but a demonic presence, using the image of the old man to terrorize her. Whatever it was intelligent. It spoke, it threatened, and it wanted Jackie dead. By 1991, Jackie was at her breaking point. The investigators had all but given up, unable to stop the phenomena. Jackie, terrified for her children, finally fled San Pedro for good. She left behind the house, the memories, the nightmares, and slowly the activity diminished. But it never completely stopped. Even in her new home, Jackie reported occasional encounters, whispers, shadows, the fleeting image of the old man in the corner of her eye. The investigators, too, were haunted by what they had seen. Photographs, tapes, and their own memories were proof enough. The case of the San Pedro Haunting remains one of the most credible and terrifying poltergeist cases ever documented. Because unlike so many stories, this one was witnessed, filmed, experienced firsthand by more than just one family. It was real, and it was violent. So what do you believe? Was Jackie truly haunted by the restless ghost of a drowned man? Or was it something far darker, something demonic that latched onto her pain and refused to let go? The truth is, Jackie Hernández lived through something that no one could ever fully explain. And if a poltergeist like this could follow her, it could follow anyone, even you. Sleep tight, and if you want more true stories that will keep you awake long after the video ends, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because here on Truth is Terror, the nightmare never ends.